Oh shit, we're recording now. I don't want to put it right there. But I got 8% this one. Oh, we'll get through Bellator quick. Let's give it a good old 5 seconds and I'll let you begin.
Do, re, mi, fa, so. I'm just fucking with you. Женя!
Dima!
Oh, shooting the ones, we're here to have fun.
Shooting the ones we're here to stay. We are making it live every day. We shoot the ones for fun in the schoolyard, in the backyard, in the street. We'll get out of cars and we'll show you how to move your feet.
Biggie!
Dima!
Goofiness.
That should loosen the mood a little bit.
Welcome! Damn it.
We're gonna use that goofy ass shit. I'm glad now. That shit was funny as fuck though.
Welcome to Shoot the Ones, weekly mixed martial arts podcast covering news, recent events, betting lines, predictions, and more. I am Dima.
And I'm Jenya. In our 4th episode, we will be discussing Bellator 172, Thompson vs. Pitbull, and UFC Fight Night 105, Lewis vs. Brown, as well as this week's news.
But first, as always, we want to thank all of our listeners. We want to thank everybody that gave us some feedback, a couple of likes, listens. You can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube, as always. And we're working to get on iTunes and Stitcher as well, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, all the support we've been receiving has been a real treat. Wouldn't you agree, Dima?
Hell yeah, thanks guys.
This week started with Fedor versus Mitrione originally. However, Matt Mitrione had a kidney stone, and that fight was called off. So the card changed a little bit. The main card included Brooke Mayo versus Veta Ortega, Francisco France versus Anatoly Tokov, Czech Congo versus Ole Thompson, and Josh Thompson versus Patricky Pitbull Freire was the main event. Overall, wasn't a terrible card, but the disappointment rung true, especially for guys like me and Dima that watched this to watch Fedor specifically. Would you like to add to that a little bit?
I mean, of course, everyone is disappointed Fedor wasn't able to fight Matt. This is very unfortunate. Good news, however, this fight is going to happen. I think we're looking at some time down the road, spring, around May.
Yeah, I heard between May to July time zone they were looking at. I heard May and June, so you never know. But I think they're looking for May or June since nobody's hurt. They never fought. But I think one of them want to take some time off.
And they're talking about going back to San Jose for that. Other than that, the main card itself wasn't that bad. We saw the return of Josh Koscheck. Unfortunately, he didn't do that well. Although he looked good, he looked quick on his feet, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, first fight of the card, the opener of the main card. Josh Koscheck came in giving his fans a little bit of hope. He was moving around, looking like kind of the old patented Josh Koscheck when he was in Tough. But it seems like age is catching up to him with 6 losses in a row.
Yeah, ultimately he couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done, and Mauricio Alonso got the better of him towards the end of the round.
And the way he's been getting finished has all been kind of brutal if you look back at his record. He's been getting knocked out and submitted. I think only one of them went to decision, like that one where Ellenberger was choking him and he was foaming at the mouth. A lot of the ways he's getting finished aren't pretty looking,
Yeesh, that was rough.
Our next fight was Brooke Mayo versus Veta Ortega. Did you want to start us off, Dima, with this one?
That was an exciting fight. A bit back and forth. One of the more exciting fights this card.
I thought it was the best one on there, Dima. Brooke Mayo was an interesting fighter. She was tall, lanky gal, good jiu-jitsu. She came out with a purple belt, which I mean doesn't sound. I guess purple belt under some gyms means more than a brown or a black belt at another gym. It really depends on who you get your belts from. But she had really good jiu-jitsu in that fight, and Vitor Ortega reminds me a lot of young Diego Sanchez in her style of fight. She lost her first fight in Bellator, but she probably should have won. But the other gal was a lot more popular, and I think that had a lot to play in the judge's decision.
And to her credit, Brooke Mayo wanted to continue the fight despite having a huge hemorrhage. Not what do you call
That's
it?
right. It was a hemorrhage on her eye. Her eye has like swollen shut, but she was arguing that she could see.
Yeah, I mean she had a pretty messed up eye.
Yeah, it was pretty much swollen shut. Um,
Anatoly Tokov, for the next fight, defeats Francisco France by TKO punches in second round.
Anatoly looks like a good prospect. He was using a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of sambo, some trips in there. He had some good ground and pound punches, and his punches standing looked pretty solid. He trains with Fedor, and I'm excited to see more from him.
I think he paced himself pretty well. Didn't go for the finish right out the gate. Kind of stayed composed, and more so did it in the second round.
Our next fight was Czech Congo versus Ole Thompson. I'll start this one off. Czech just seemed to have the better of Ole pretty much the whole fight.
Yeah, overall better striking, better game plan.
Yeah, I think Ole Thompson, thought he'd be able to use his power in there, but he realized Congo was also had him beat in that department, MMA strength, and being able to clinch up against the fence. So Ole was in one of those areas where he had held no advantages.
Agreed.
And our main event, due to the fallout of the Fedor and Mitrione fight, was Thompson Freire. And go ahead and start this one off, Dima, because I have a lot of opinions on this one.
It was back and forth fight. A very impressive finish. Even though I think Josh Thompson was getting the better of Patricky in the beginning.
I thought it was I'll start off giving credit where credit's due. I was really I'm not a big fan of Patricky. Don't typically cheer for him, but he was using distance and he was gauging his endurance better a little bit for
he moved
this
around
fight.
well.
But for me, I feel like we got robbed of a fight when the headbutt rocked Josh Thompson. I think that was the game changer, and ultimately the reason Josh Thompson got knocked out second time in his career. I believe last time he got knocked out, longtime UFC fans will remember this, was that incredible kick Yves Edwards landed. I want to say 2004, 2005 at the latest. So that's like 12, 13 years of not getting knocked out. And I don't think Patricky's the guy that's like, oh, he's better than Gilbert. He's better than all these guys, Josh's face. No, I think the headbutt actually sealed the deal.
Yeah, sounds reminiscent of some of the things that might have happened earlier as far as fights.
But I do want to give credit where credit's due. After he landed the headbutt, he landed one shot that rocked Josh Thompson, had him going sideways. And he didn't go crazy for the finish. He gauged himself, and the uppercut that he caught Josh to finish the fight was a thing of beauty. I do got to give credit where credit is due. I just felt like the headbutt was a game changer.
So impressive performance from Patricky here. And of course, we all wanted to see Fedor and Matt Mitrione go at it. But we'll see that fight later on this spring.
And this past Sunday in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, we had UFC Fight Night 105, Lewis versus Brown. Overall, it was a great card, I thought. A lot of knockouts, real exciting.
This card was dope.
Let's dive right in there. Do you want to go top to bottom, Deem, or do you want to go from the prelims on this one?
I think we had some exciting finishes in the beginning, so let's start bottom and work our way up here.
Yeah, that's how we've always done.
So middleweight, Gerald Meerschaert defeats Ryan James submission armbar in the very first round.
This was a cool fight. Gerald, I want to say, has like 40 fights almost. And Ryan Jans was the hometown guy, and he comes in there and he takes him down right away. You know, Jans that is, and Jans is looking good. But Gerald, like I said, he's a veteran. You know, he joined the UFC late, and he's real crafty. He had like 10 submissions to his name before this fight, and excuse me. And Ryan Jans was able to get him down, control top position for a little while, and it was a little bit. The fight didn't last long. I think it was roughly 2 minutes, and it was funny because the announcers were talking about how good Jans jiu-jitsu is. You know how he's black belt level, and right at that time, Gerald caught him in a quick armbar, and Jans was both verbally tapping and physically tapping at the same time.
It's a great performance from Gerald Mearchart and a good showing for UFC Fight Pass. Next up, we have middleweight. Thiago Santos defeats Jack Marshman, TKO, spinning heel kick, followed up by some punches.
Yeah, man, Dima, this was something nice, man. It was definitely one of my favorite fights of the card because I was looking forward to it a whole lot. Two big time strikers, and it kind of turned out that way. Thiago Santos caught him with some big strikes at the beginning, but Jack Marshman almost finished him at the end of the round. Second round, Thiago Santos, like you said, man, he caught him with a beautiful spinning back kick. Some follow up punches. A few people on the internet thought it might have been stopped a tad bit early. I was okay with it after I saw it in the replay. He landed three unanswered punches, and he was only going to land more.
Flashy performance from Thiago Santos.
It's his second spinning back kick TKO in the UFC.
Nice. Next fight, bantamweight, a hometown guy and a relative of Farhad Zahabi. Ayman Zahabi defeats Reginaldo Vieira in a unanimous decision.
I'll start off by saying the betting line was a little bit skewed because it was Zahabi. He was fighting in his hometown, like you said, Dima. Reginaldo Vieira was pretty good. I was impressed with him. I mean, he showed why he was the tough winner, and he really brought a fight to Ayman. You could argue he won the first two rounds. I don't think the judges were completely fair in that one. But I will say Ayman Zahabi, who, if you look up David Timur from Sweden, another UFC fighter, I was like, man, this guy looks like somebody. Who the heck is he? And then I realized, oh, this is the guy you remember from Tough. He told Cody Garbrandt, Dima, he said, hey, watch your underpants. I'm going to fuck you.
What?
He looks just like that guy. But Ayman, what I was impressed with Ayman, Dima, is
I love when foreigners fuck up cursing. That shit sounds so hilarious. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the top three moments in Tough history for him, right? When he told him that he was gonna fuck him and watch his underpants. Like, and the thing about it is, he thought that was such a clever insult.
Top three in that hot mess of a show.
Oh,
all right.
But Ayman, he was impressive. He was real calm. You could tell he was the more patient and the more skilled of the two fighters, and he was the closest to finishing the fight. And I thought he won. I thought he won 2-1. I was surprised there was a 30-27 decision, but from what I saw on this card, some of the scorecards were all over the place.
And I mean, he was a hometown favorite guy, so that may have had something to do with the outcome.
I agree. Next, we had a fight I pooped on last week, and it actually turned out to be a good fight, huh, Dima?
Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Randa Marcos defeated Carla Esparza in a split decision in what was a pretty close fight. I mean, both ladies came out, were striking, and what we saw was an improvement in both of them.
Yeah, I was not expecting Carla to use a striker-heavy strategy. And this was one of those fights that could have gone either way when they went to the judges' scorecards and you couldn't get mad, you know? I heard recently Carla had to sell her Harley Davidson she won for winning Tough because she was short on money. And I don't know how well the UFC is paying these gals, but a win means a lot for either one. So I'm happy for Randa and her red hair.
Yeah, but she only fights one time a year.
Disappointed in Carla. You talking about Carla
Yeah.
one time a year? Yeah, she doesn't fight very much, and that's probably part of her money issues. I would imagine.
Yeah.
What do you think she got for that Harley? Like 20 grand?
Shit, I don't know. I'm not a Harley guy. I can't tell you.
Me neither, man.
But she showed some good wrestling. Took her down a couple times.
She won the wrestling, but do you remember the first round when Ronda caught her in a crucifix and just beat the face for like?
Oh yeah, she landed some clean hammer fists. That was, I think, for me, is where she took over in the first round and kind of won it for me.
How long did that last? Where she was just hitting her in the face, hitting her in the face? Was that like 45 seconds? Would you like to say, or?
That might be a bit of an over exaggeration, but she landed some clean shots there.
Yeah, it looked like Carla got stuck in the position and had a hard time getting out of it for a second. But she got out, to her credit, and she did win most of the wrestling exchanges. And I thought she looked good on her feet.
So, next fight, Santiago Ponzinibbio defeats Nordin Taleb in a unanimous decision.
This is another fight that I thought, could have gone either way. I thought it was a good fight. I'm okay with Santiago winning. He had a jab heavy strategy, and it worked. His jab was getting in there, but to his credit, Norden looked good himself. He was landing good leg kicks, and I thought it was a good fight. A lot better than I expected. Well, I always expect a good fight when Santiago's in there.
Taleb started the fight fairly strong. He was able to use his range and kind of land a jab there. He did a very good job. And then around the second round, Ponzinibbio started taking over. He was a much more crisper striker towards the end, and I think he took over the second round for me. So, it was a back and forth fight, and I think a contender for fight of the night for me.
There was an eye poke in that second round. Do you think it changed things a little bit, Dima?
Kind of going back to some of the things that slid by unnoticed by the ref, that there was an eye poke that influenced the fight. I think he poked him when he had him against the fence.
He was kind of going for a strike. They were both doing it, but Norton got warned once. They kind of did the palm out like John Jones,
Yeah, yeah.
He was, he kicked him and then he pawed his eyeball a little bit, and ref didn't see it, so he never stopped the fight, and Norton got beat up for the next 2 minutes, kind of.
Is that what cut the eye? I don't remember.
I think repetitive jabs to the face was more than what caused a lot of the damage. They were both bloody.
I mean, there was a lot of damage done by those jabs as well.
The next fight, quick finish. Demon, do you know the time on this one?
It says first round 4:44.
4:44. Paul Felder defeats Alessandro Ricci. This was a stand-up fight. Paul Felder knew Alessandro Ricci's a Muay Thai guy coming in there, and he did not give a damn. He came in there throwing some shit. He was throwing he'd throw a punch and turn it into an elbow. I'm pretty sure he was one of the award winners for performance of the night, and it was probably, maybe barring Johnny Hendricks or Derek Lewis, the performance of the night for me. You want to expand on that, Dima?
Whew, scary guy. I mean, he threw everything and the kitchen sink at him. Standing elbows, spinning strikes, knees.
Finish them with knees.
You got him. You got it. That guy, very excited. I'm very excited to see where Paul Felder goes from here.
You want to lead off this squash match coming up?
Sarah McMahon defeats Gina Mazzani by a arm triangle in what is a late replacement match.
Yeah, there's a big skills gap in this fight. Not a lot to talk about. Sarah McMahon just walked across the cage, walked across the cage, landed a couple punches, and then took her down quick in the side control. Got the arm triangle choke.
Pretty textbook performance from Sarah McMahon.
I agree. Next we had Cesar Mutante Ferreira versus Canadian Ilias Theodoro.
Yeah, not a very eventful fight. A Unanimous decision for Elias Theodoro.
I agree, Dim. This is probably the most lackluster fight of the night. Both guys did have their moments, though. It wasn't a terrible fight, but I can't say I have a whole lot of opinions on it either. You know what I mean? I thought Cesar should have got the decision, but I didn't. I wasn't upset Ilias got the decision. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So next fight was a featherweight showcase. Gavin Tucker defeats Sam Cecilia in a unanimous decision.
This fight was also solid. Gavin Tucker looked like a good prospect. He looked a little bit. He had a little bit of the poor man's T.J. Dillashaw game going for him. But he looked really good versus Cecilia. What I didn't like about Tucker, and I was really big on him coming into the UFC. I put a decent bit of cash on him this fight. The one thing I didn't like was he admitted afterwards that he was a little bit playing it safe because it was his UFC debut. I didn't like that, but I understand it. You know, this is a sport where you got to get wins to get more money. It was a fun fight. Cecilia had power. Gavin Tucker he was sharper the whole night, but not a whole lot of talking points on that one.
Yeah, I think Gavin Tucker showed good movement and ultimately got the better of Sam Cecilia in that fight.
Next on to one of the most exciting fights of the night, Johnny Hendricks wins a unanimous decision versus Hector Lombard. Was it unanimous?
Yep.
Unanimous decision. Demon, you want to start us off with this one? This was a cool fight.
Unanimous decision, but a close fight.
Very close. Hector seemed to have the power advantage. Johnny Hendricks had some tricks up his sleeves. He looks pretty good at middleweight, man. I liked what he had to show. I was rooting for Hector. I wanted Hector to win, but I'm happy for Johnny. I think this gives him an opportunity to stay in the UFC. He was landing some really sweet knees too. He was. You know what was weird? He didn't use not one takedown attempt. I don't think.
Yeah, kind of made it a striking match there, which was surprising. But I like the showing from Johnny Hendricks. He showed up, made weight. He was confident about that. He was making jokes before the fight and after the fight. Yeah, I think he looks good at middleweight, despite being a smaller guy in the division. It was kind of a fight of the smaller guys in the middleweight division there.
I agree. Hendricks is probably the smallest, and Lombard the second smallest. So I definitely agree with that. Where do you think they go from here? First of all, where do you think Johnny goes from here?
That's hard to say right off the bat.
I mean, this was his last fight on contract. So essentially, they have to sign another contract. Do you think that gets done now that he got a win?
They have been trimming a lot of talent recently, and some of it has been kind of a head scratcher as to why are they getting rid of some of the guys that could be potential prospects. As far as Johnny, he might not be a prospect per se, but he is a name. So assuming he gets re-signed with UFC, maybe like a Luke Rockhold is lingering in the division.
I agree with you, especially with them cutting some real head scratchers, like Nikita Krylov just got cut, Serkinov just got cut.
Well, Serkinov
Um,
is kind of floating around. He could still be re-signed.
yeah,
They still renegotiate.
we talked about what weight class is that? I believe that's 135. Yeah, Mighty Mouse. Kyojo Horiguchi just signed with Risen. He was a free agent, so they lost like three guys from that division. You're definitely right with them losing a lot of fighters. The thing I think Johnny Hendricks has going for him that those guys did not is he was a former champ. You know, he proved that he could do it. So he's got a little bit more marketing strategy than those guys. But at the same time, him and his wife have talked shit on the UFC on social media. They've openly kind of bashed the judging. And I like the guy Johnny. I want to see. I think that he's got some fun fights there at middleweight. I want to see them keep him around, but will they? Like you said, who knows?
I certainly hope they do. But who do you think is a good matchup for him?
Uh, I don't know if he gets a top 10 guy right away, but his wrestling's too good for the 10 to 15 range, so it'd have to be somebody from the 10 to 5 range, I would imagine. Uh, who's there? What are some names there at middleweight?
I threw out Rockhold.
Luke Rockhold. Rockhold's got a lot of fight. Rockhold's only one fight removed from the belt.
Yeah, but he's been out for a while there.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason I want to see Musasi, but like I said, uh, maybe Tim Boach. That'll be a fun fight.
Coming off
I'd
of
like to see that though.
That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Even though he's coming off of a loss.
Yeah,
But size-wise, there wouldn't be a huge disadvantage there for Johnny Hendricks.
and styles make fights. I just feel like that's gonna be a barn burner.
Or it could end up being really boring. I don't know.
Those guys aren't really in boring fights much. When do you remember a boring Johnny Hendricks or a Boach fight? Maybe Johnny Hendricks has had one, but Boach?
That's a good point. It's just sometimes styles cancel each other out, and both of those guys seem very similar to me.
Let's move on, Dima, because I'm sure we have a lot to say about this main event. This was a fight right here. This is what like the fans tune in for when they're looking for a heavyweight fight.
This fight was damn good. It was fantastic. It had everything.
I'll set the scene here a little bit. The fight started. The even money line fight, Travis Brown finally rededicated, no longer training with Edmond, ready to go, and he looked good the first round. I mean, he was landing those leg kicks, which Lewis after the fight said didn't affect him, but to be honest, man, the refs could have stopped the fight at one of those times when he kicked him and he turned around. Like, at that point, when you turn around and run away, and like lean up against the fence, you're no longer intelligently defending. So, regardless of what Lewis said, the kicks had him in trouble. He was landing good leg kicks, but he got a little bit predictable.
In the beginning, Travis Brown used his range very excellently. He was kind of spamming that body kick there. He was able to land from the outside. He moved around really well. And at several points of the first round, he hurt Derek Lewis really bad with those kicks to the body.
10-8 round?
Yeah, possibly.
I think definitely. He had him twice where he ran away in pain after getting kicked. Those aren't real typical moments in a fight, and those are what you look for when you give a 10-8.
So he was really hurt, and he knew he lost the round going in. So second round, Derek Lewis comes like a bat out of hell and just starts piecing Travis Brown up.
Impressive. I was really impressed with how Lewis, he got thoroughly beat down in that round. Went to his corner, got some good advice from the corner, came back in there, and he was a different guy this time. And what people like about Derek Lewis's game is, through all the media shit talk, he's got a strategy. He wants to draw his opponents in. That's his style of fighting. It always has been. It always will be. So somehow, the first round, Travis Brown was controlling his game. He got Travis Brown to get careless. And it was impressive. And Derek Lewis has a lot of raw power. When he hits you on the chin, he can knock out a young rhino.
I wouldn't say he got careless. I think he got advice from his coach there, and he got a reality check too. He got hit with a lot of shots, and his boxing coach told him, "Dude, you got to close that distance. You can't work from outside and get peppered with those shots, or that's going to be the end of you." So Derek Lewis kind of listened to him, made the adjustment that he needed to make, and finished the fight.
I'm just laughing about young rhino. I meant to say like a full-grown rhino, but I don't know why I threw young in front of it.
You young rhino from Houston, H-Town, swinging and banging. Yo, I'm a fan. He talks a good amount of shit.
Let's talk about the post fight.
Yo, he talks a good amount of shit, but he shows mad heart. So I'm a fan now. I'll follow Derek Lewis. I'm excited to see him fight more so than I have been before.
The post fight was almost as exciting, but like I said, there's a lot to talk about. There was also some controversy in this fight. Did you see Mazzagatti in there? He had two fuck ups. That one earlier where the Black Beast is holding his stomach, not defending. Could have maybe ended the fight there, but
No,
I'm okay with that too because Lewis proved that was the right decision.
first, standing knockouts are questionable. Second of all, that would have kind of been very anticlimactic if it ended that way.
And I agree with you 100%, Demo, but I'm not okay with the way that this fight ended. Like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. But Yamasaki did a terrible job. He let about 8 punches through, uncontested, and it's got to be up for review. I mean, that was horrible.
Travis took a lot of damage there. That was necessary. Could have easily been stopped when Derek had him in the mount or half guard. He had him rocked. I mean, and when Travis went down, that could have been ended there.
Yeah, there's a clip on the internet, and it's not funny because these are real people's lives, but like it just shows the incompetence of this guy, and he's been around for a long time doing this. He's gonna get somebody killed, but he's standing over them, looking right at Travis Brown, and Derek Lewis was just bouncing his head off the floor like a basketball 8 times. You know what it looked like? It looked like he was enjoying the ass kicking so much he just didn't want to stop it.
Damn. We don't need to see a guy's head getting bounced off like that. So definitely a late stoppage.
Or it looked like he was enjoying it so much he forgot he was the one that was supposed to stop it.
Yeah, definitely can see why Dana gives him shit.
But it was a great card. Demon, let's talk a little bit about the post-fight antics of Derek Lewis, the interview, because some people on the internet are loving it, some people are hating it, but regardless, he gets the people excited. He got them talking.
He made it very personal, wouldn't you say?
I think he probably crossed the line a little bit. I mean, he just knocked out the guy. The guy was respectful to him. And first thing he does is call out his woman beaten past. That was never actually proven true, but there were pictures circling the internets of the girl with bruises, and it was the gal that he left for a run the house. And then he continued that by saying, "Where Honda Hauser fine ass at?"
Damn. Oh.
So he disrespected him on two fronts before he even started the hilarious interview.
Yeah, but at least he's consistent. He was saying all these things before the fight, leading up to it.
Yeah, and another funny thing he said the next day, you remember, he said he wanted to thank Yamasaki for stopping the fight late. He was even considering giving him an extra $1,000.
Derek Lewis is savage.
Absolute savage. And then he goes on to say, they ask him, when the kicks I talked about earlier, they ask him, how did the kicks affect you, Derek? How? He said, the kicks weren't that hard. He just really terribly had to take a shit. Which, do you have any comment on this?
Well, I'm glad he didn't take a shit in the ring because apparently that's a new rule set change. What, isn't that a TKO now?
Yes, he would have been the first shit by TKO. Or no, excuse me, TKO by shit.
Which would be rather embarrassing.
Because, with the new rule set, the fighter that produces feces means that they can no longer fight, and the ref needs to step in there and stop the fight.
I love you, Yoel Romero, but watch out, dude.
What has been called poopy pants. Poopy pants. Oh, excellent card, Dima. Do you have anything else to say about this one? I felt like, it was a Fox card, so you can't say you got your money's worth, but I felt like I got what I had planned to get and more.
This fight card kind of followed up and delivered as opposed to last week's pay-per-view, which had kind of lots of controversy and not the most exciting decisions.
Yeah, so some funny matchmaking going on in the UFC since Joe Silva left, but I gotta give credit where credit is due, and this card had a lot of good matchups.
I think with so many old UFC people leaving, there's a bit of a scramble happening as to what is going to happen next, how to put on fights, and kind of how to keep this thing running.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Demo was not happy about the Todd Grisham commentating. You want to
I
go
mean, I'm
over
not
that?
mad, but I was not overly too impressed. I think he did okay as a play-by-play commentator. Like he did the advertisements okay, and he has a good voice, but he doesn't really have anything to add as far as MMA knowledge.
Yeah, before I drop my opinion, let me give you two quotes he did that kind of skewed my opinion on
Yeah, I
him
know you were
because
taking notes. This shit's hilarious. Go ahead.
because I thought he was doing like as good as I expected him to do until I heard this. This is about the second fight in. They go, to this that they're doing a pan of the kids ice skating and the parents ice skating outside, and he says, "Ice skating is a big to do here in Halifax. Maybe there's a young Tanya Harding skating around there looking for someone to strike down." What? He follows that beauty up later with Travis's leg kick packs a heck of a punch.
And I caught that one, and I was laughing at that shit. That one was the quote of the night for me as far as Josh Grisham's
Josh,
debut.
David don't give a damn about him. He's like, I ain't even gonna call him by his real name.
What's his name?
Just call him Josh. Todd Grisham.
Todd.
Yeah, he's WWE guy. And
Oh, there was another WWE guy named Josh something, so that's where the confusion comes from.
actually, I never researched it, so I hope I'm calling him the right thing. I'm pretty positive it's Todd. Todd Grisham, yeah, former WWE guy. Like my issue with him is he's not bringing much to the podcast. He let Brian carry it, which Brian did a good job, but Brian doesn't. Brian's one of the best in the business, but when it comes to personality, he needs somebody else there.
Brian did a heck of a job carrying, as far as I'm concerned.
My hat's off. Yeah, he had to do a lot because Todd, you could tell he's new to MMA, and like probably even our average listener, I would say Grisham has maybe 2% of the MMA knowledge that they have. So before he gets even close to remotely as good as Goldie, he needs to just work on being more bearable to listen to, not coming out with these ridiculous things like Tanya Harding skating around, a young Tanya Harding, like that kind of stuff casts a bad. Like whether he knows it, he's not gonna be. He's gonna be like that friend that comes around every once in a while. I think is what UFC is gonna do to him. But at the same time, like stuff like that casts a bad shadow over MMA, and like we've worked so hard to get it to a spot where people look at it as a sport, and saying stuff like that. I don't know if he was trying to sound cool.
I was kind of harsh on him yesterday, but you gotta give people a chance. Kind of like I hope people and listeners give us a chance. We're just starting out, so we're gonna be a little rough around the edges at first, kind of like Todd Grisham was rough around the edges yesterday.
Good point, and you got to understand this was his first episode, so he was probably nervous. We were a little bit nervous, and we're probably still a little bit nervous here and there until we get going, and then shooting the ones with you. Then we start feeling real good about ourselves. Let's see. Is there any other news that we want to go over? I heard Chris Fields was injured. We got Vladimir Filipovic. Also, he's from Serbia. I don't know much about him, but he's 8-2. He's going to be facing McGeary in the main event this Friday. Any other MMA news? I believe we also had GSP come back. You want to start us off with that? That's some good news.
Man, a bunch of things happened this week and last week. Actually, GSP got re-signed. Glad they were able to agree to something.
I'm excited. The GSP thing brings up a lot of storylines. Like, I think, like, my theory is they're going to put Yoel on the back burner, even though he's earned it. But, like, Bisping wants GSP, man. And I can't blame him because that's where the money's at.
I agree. That's the money fight for him, and that would definitely be a fight Michael Bisping would want. However, I don't know if this is just rumors or not, but I heard that GSP might consider fighting at 155 pounds.
What? Where did you hear this?
I think this might have been an article I came across on Reddit MMA.
So do you have two sources?
So I will have to look into this, but let's just go ahead and say this is a rumor.
Okay.
How you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't like to report anything unless I have two credible sources. But at the same time, I completely I don't think he should do that. I don't think 155 is like he's a pretty thick guy. He's not tall, but I thought he looked best at welterweight. I don't see why he's trying to stray away from that. But I guess at this point, he just wants the fights that are going to generate him the most money. And it also kind of tells you, Dima, UFC realized excuse me, not UFC, WIMG realized that they kind of screwed up when they missed the boat a couple months ago and weren't able to get him. And I think they were like, George, we agree, buddy. What you want?
Yeah, they kind of missed the boat there with the Canada card. Not the most recent one, but Toronto.
Mhm. And regardless if he fights Bisping or not, people should be excited GSP is back in the UFC. One of the best of all time. Some people, I mean, he's going to get people excited. Whether you want him to lose or you want him to win, he's going to get a lot of people to watch.
Yeah, one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I heard Derek Lewis wants to fight Mark Hunt next, but not after his 3-month layoff in his speech where he talked about having to poop and having too much sex. The Black Beast says when he comes back from 3 months of having more sex, he wants Mark Hunt.
Oh man, Mark Hunt. Let's see what happens. First, he has some legal stuff going on with UFC, and he also has a fight coming out with Alistair Overeem.
Yeah,
So
weird.
if he loses that fight, I don't really see how it makes sense for that fight to take place, because Derek Lewis would be basically on his way up, and Mark Hunt would be on his way down in the division.
Yes, you're right, but I also know Derek Lewis just kind of wants the most fun fights, and he knows the kind of guys that are gonna come forward at him. I personally thought Ngannou Francis was the next fight for him, but he wants Mark Hunt. I don't know. They'll probably make that fight, but like Dima said, he does have a fight versus Overeem. He's suing the UFC right now, so Mark Hunt's in an interesting situation. I bet he's not even thinking about Derek Lewis right now.
Other than Mark Hunt, who would you like to see Derek Lewis fight?
Like I said, Francis. I think Francis is a good fight. Verdum possibly. Somebody that would he'd have a little bit harder time than Travis Brown luring into a brawl is kind of what I want to see. The guy that fights with a strategy. Verdum would be a good one.
Is Verdum? Yeah, I think he has one fight left. Is he re-signing, renegotiating? He might go to Russia. I think he was talking about wanting to go fight in Chechnya because he's homies with the Chechen warlord.
I can't really add much to that. I don't know. I didn't even know he had one fight until you just told me that.
I think he's getting close, if not renegotiating. But I don't think he's on the good terms right now with the current management
Yeah,
of UFC.
he's bumped heads. He was taken off. He was an analyst. He was taken off of that gig because he had some issues with UFC. But he's also kind of like same position as Johnny Hendricks, I think, in negotiating. Like he won a championship, and he's somebody that people want to see. Any more news, or that's it?
Um,
You want to hit him with a good farewell? Farewell. Our feathers and goodbye.
so this sums up this week's episode of Shoot the Ones. We want to thank all of our listeners, supporters, and anybody that gave us feedback.
Yeah, thanks. We've been getting a tremendous amount of support. We really appreciate it. We've had people reach out to us. Like I said last week, we feel like the wheels are turning on this thing. It feels like it's been a lot of fun. Especially like we've had a lot more people reach out to us than we had imagined, and we're real appreciative. We've got real good feedback and some good advice.
Definitely a challenge in some aspects. We're learning a lot as we go and are getting better, hopefully, with each episode.
Yep, like last week. If you're a advertiser and you want to get with us, if you just feel like sponsoring two young Ukrainian gentlemen, feel free. Or like we said last week,
with extensive MMA knowledge, may I add.
This is correct, my boy.
Yes, cousin.
Very good, very good.
Anyways, check us out on SoundCloud. Check us out on YouTube. It's Shoot the Number 1S. We are looking to expand and put our podcast also on iTunes, Stitcher, as well as a couple of other platforms. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated.
We hope you have a good week, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week and Shoot the Ones with us. Dima and Jenya out.